feel like the best way to introduce Mark Bolland is to listen to some clips from Reinventing the Royals of how others have described him.
Probably knew as much about the editors of Fleet Street as others did about the royal family. And because of these amazing contacts that he had with editors, was able to get their ear. Brilliant manipulator.
Guy coming in and changing all the rules. And Mark Bolland certainly had his work cut out. In the wake of Diana's death and all that had gone before, Charles's reputation was in tatters.
Mark Bolland was born in Canada in 1966 to UK parents. He first worked for the Advertising Standards Authority and started a career in media regulation before following Lord MacGregor to the newly created PCC, the Press Complaints Commission. He started off as an executive assistant before being promoted to the director of the PCC from 1992 to 1996. We're going to quickly return to Reinventing the Royals to get a better look at what the media was facing during this time and why the PCC was created.
Court of public opinion accused literally of murdering the princess. The clock was ticking. The press at that point was looking over the precipice into a fully fledged, deeply repressive privacy law.
The newspaper industry was policed through an editor's code of conduct, overseen by the Press Complaints Commission, which was owned and controlled by the press itself. To satisfy public and political pressure for change, they would have to act fast.
I think there is a watershed in the mood in the country and the mood in the press.
Lord Wakeham, who you just saw in that clip, was the successor to MacGregor. He was the one that recommended to Prince Charles that he should hire Mark Bolland. Bolland is appointed Assistant Private Secretary to Charles, Prince of Wales, in August of 1996, and in 1997 he becomes the Deputy Private Secretary. He served in that role until 2002. Guy Black, who you might have recognized from that clip, is actually Mark Bolland's longtime partner, now husband. He's done a lot of work with the Conservative Party's communications arm, and he returned to work for Lord Wakeham, director of the PCC, in 1996 after Bolland had left. So at this point in time, you have Mark Bolland, who was the former director of the PCC, well known on Fleet Street, working for Charles and Camilla primarily to improve their reputations and usher in acceptance for Camilla, while his partner, Guy Black, is running the PCC. Also of note, Guy Black is currently an executive director at the Telegraph Media Group, which includes the Daily and the Sunday Telegraph. Among Bolland's media friends includes Rebecca Brooks, now Wade. That is a name that you should remember and that you might recognize. It will come into play later. Apparently, they have all vacationed together in Tuscany. Next, we are getting into Operation Camilla Parker Bowles. Let's talk about Mark Bolland and Operation Camilla Parker Bowles. In 1996, Charles decides that he is going to have his press office split from the palace. He handed control of his media operations to Mark Bolland. And while Bolland needs to improve Camilla's image in the press, he also needs to improve Charles, and that starts with how Charles interacts with the press.
He made a point of talking to the photographers, the cameramen, the BBC, the dreaded tab.
Emphasis was very much on a more relaxed, fun-loving Charles, and critically, that new narrative, Charles the Good Father. To wit, the presence of Prince Harry, coincidentally on a half-term break, created PR opportunities galore.
So Bolland's strategy appears to not just be improving their image in the press, but also improving their relationships with people in the press. Moving into the infamous Highgrove meeting. This occurs in 1998, and it's when it gets out into the press that Camilla and Prince William have finally met. I tried so hard to find the original article about this. This was the best I could do from the Mirror. Wills meets Camilla for the first time. So this is where I wanted us to remember Rebecca Brooks, because she is the one that just happens to call up Sandy Henney, who we have seen previously, and tell her that she has all of this information and all of these details, and they are going to publish this story. Sandy asked if she would wait 24 hours so that she could prepare William for the fact that this is all going to come out. The article has a ton of details that people would be hard-pressed to know unless somebody was leaking. Camilla's private secretary ends up taking the fall for this because her husband is an executive at the Times and she mistakenly told him about it. But this same private secretary gets hired back pretty quickly afterwards. So here's a clip from Reinventing the Royals about that incident.
It was very interesting that it was delivered to the Sun. Clearly a strategy, testing the water. Let's see what sort of reaction it gets from other newspapers. Would papers like mine, for example, the Mail, which are still very pro-Diana, would fuss about this, saying it's all wrong is too soon.
And did you?
No.
You couldn't have got it from a better source, and Camilla and William didn't tell you.
No.
So, it's Mark Bolland, you know, I mean, he
He didn't like being used by anybody, and he felt, from what I remember, that he was being used by his father's staff.
Do you think he was being used?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Highgrove was largely seen as a media success for Camilla. It showed that Prince William accepted her, and since Prince William was more popular than Camilla, that helps Camilla. Stay tuned for more of Operation Camilla Parker Bowles.